Alright, what's going on, guys? Jeff here, back again for the news covering for today. Today is a Tuesday because yesterday was Monday and we had the whole Washington day and there wasn't any trading going on yesterday. But anyway, I just got home. I'm going to be celebrating my sister's birthday in a bit, so this might be a little bit rushed. But anyway, let's go to news today. All right, so let's go through some of the things that we're going in the entire world right now. It's a little bit hectic, not gonna lie. Russian troops enter breakaway Ukrainian region as Germany halts Nord Stream 2. Ukrainian, okay. Let's just give a brief rundown of the little update of what is actually happening with the whole Russian-Ukrainian situation at the moment. So, Russia basically have already invaded Ukraine a little bit to areas where Ukraine basically don't really mind getting invaded to a certain extent, to the rebel areas in Moscow. So the situation is that right now we do not know if we want to consider this a proper invasion at the moment, because I personally would not really consider this the invasion, nor does the US, because currently the USA, they're not going to do anything until they see the tanks roll out. And right now, this is still an invasion to a certain extent, but we do not want to call it like a proper invasion per se, because the tanks are not out there yet. So right now, the whole entire market is very tense about this, especially upon the pre-market earlier when I was actually on my appointment. I took a little sneak peek at my own portfolio and I got shocked. Okay, everything was down. Everything was down 4 to 5%. Only I think like two names in my portfolio was actually green, and those are very random names that were green. So I'm actually quite confused by why they are up as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of the situation with the market at the moment. But yeah, okay. Okay, let's go through this. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged calm as Russian troops pulse into eastern Donbas region and the Western nation readied a package of sanctions to punish Moscow for recognizing two Russian-controlled statelets there as independent. Like I said before, they went into Moscow, and yeah, I think that's basically the gist of this entire thing. I'm not very certain on how war basically work, but yeah, I do think that Ukraine probably would have to do something along this line. I think Ukraine would have to defend themselves to a certain extent, right? Because yeah, okay, yeah, Ukraine must react to this, defending its sovereignty and statehood. I think that this makes a lot of sense for Ukraine to actually defend on this. But I think even Ukraine came out to say that they don't really think that this would be that big of an issue. I'm not sure if they're just trying to calm their own people down. But I'm very glad that the US have already gotten most of the Americans out of Ukraine. But of course, nevertheless, I do think that this whole situation with Russia and Ukraine definitely going to be very worrisome for the short term. Okay, Russia ordered troops into eastern Ukraine. Okay, now let's see what is actually happening because of this whole Russia versus Ukraine. Oil prices approaching $100 on threat on Ukraine war. So let's just look at the prices of the oil prices at the moment. Right now, oil is at like $94 or so, and it's actually breaching to $100 right now. Oil prices, it actually went all the way to $96. So I do see prices of oil possibly hitting $100 to even $120. I actually said this, I think it was last week on a news covering. I actually talked about the oil prices going up to that extent. All right. So right now we understand that oil commodities in general. I think your copper, your cotton. I'm pretty sure precious metal in general, the aluminum and such, are going to be going up in price as well. Yeah. Okay. So submarine pipe linking Russia, funnel gas, blah blah blah. Natural gas went up as well. Prices, yeah, aluminum, yeah, like I said, aluminum, nickel, wheat, all produced in large quantity in Russia or Ukraine rose as well. So basically, when prices happen, when wars happen, prices of such commodities that's usually largely found in countries of the affected areas would definitely be rising, aka aluminum, nickel, and wheat in this context. Of course, we are not really expecting this to go on for a long time, because really right now, my own personal thought, okay, not war advice, okay, I don't think that this war is going to be happening. I do think that Russia is basically just trying to just tread the line a little bit. I don't think that Russia would want to get into this into a proper commotion with the US. Of course, I think that if I'm from the Russia's point of view, I do think that this would be the best time to do so, especially with the election coming up next. This would be a good time for them to actually throw Biden off the case. Having Biden literally took office at the worst timing. We're fighting the pandemic, a possible war, with all the consequences of what the stimulus gave. Biden had to fight so many things in his time in the office, and before he even get be it voted out of the office or continuing another 4 years in the office, he would have to go through a possible war on his hands as well. So I think there's gonna be some crazy things. And let's not forget, US also had to go through the whole Afghanistan situation, where it was also done by Biden. So I think, yeah, Biden definitely got a tough time in the office, not gonna lie. But nevertheless, yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what's going to be happening, but honestly speaking, I do not see this war happening. Of course, I do see Russia trying to get a little bit too close to the fire a little bit. I do see Russia trying to maybe do a little bit more invasion on the countries, on states that are not as affected, and they are not going to get the tanks rolling out at all. Personally, I think that would be the case, because I don't think Russia would want a war either. I don't see Russia really getting much out from having a war, unless they want to turn out to be another North Korea, where they just basically corner themselves off from the entire world. But yeah, if they're not doing that, I think Russia probably will not be doing much. Just my personal thought on that. All right, but anyway, let's get back to this. SoFi, Dubai banking infrastructure firm, Technisys for about $1.1 billion. Right now, SoFi is not really moving much from this certain acquisition, which I would not assume that it will actually go up on the price itself either. Personally, I am invested in SoFi in terms of share exposure and also optional exposure as well. The all-stock deal is equivalent to roughly 10% of SoFi's market value. The deal gives SoFi control of its own core banking platform, the back-end technology that banks use to power mobile banking apps, open accounts, and keep track of customers' deposit. All right, so for people who are unaware of what SoFi actually does, SoFi is this fintech company, and they already got their banking license I would like to say about 2 months ago. They actually got the banking license for it. No, it was last month actually. They got banking license for everything as it is. Right now, they just got an all-stock deal, basically an M&A, where they are going to be buying over this Technisys, which basically allows them to have this banking app platform-esque kind of thing, which I think would be a very, very important acquisition for SoFi. Under the CEO Anthony Noto, SoFi has looked to deal making to branch out beyond its roots as a lender that focused on refinancing student debt. This was previously SoFi's first business model, but recently they actually started to move towards a banking sort of model. So yeah, this month it became a bank when it completed its acquisition of Golden Pacific Bancorp, which is a California community lender. In 2020, SoFi agreed to spend about $1.2 billion on Galileo Financial Technology, a financial infrastructure company focused on issuing debit cards. So yeah, I think that what SoFi would most likely be doing in this sort of business model would be slowly transitioning themselves into a bank, which is why I really, really like SoFi. But of course, do know that SoFi is still a spec starting, which is why SoFi will always be backed by $10. But of course, you're not going to get the $10 worth. Okay, do not get in on that simply because SoFi is a spec. That dream is not real anymore. You can see it in a lot of companies. You can see it in Grab. You can see it in Beachbody. You can see it in a lot of companies who basically people think that the initial investors who came in at $10 per share, you would likely see that this company will continue going up because you would assume that it's backed by the investors $10 per share. But of course, the market doesn't always work the same way as how theory does. and which is why it's still going to be a little bit dangerous for SoFi for you to just basically think, oh, it's fine. SoFi is not going to go under $10. I do think that there's a possibility for the SoFi to go under $10, but in the long run, I do believe in SoFi, which is why I am invested in SoFi. I even have multiple lead contracts on SoFi. I think for $12 or $15. I forgot about that. It was a 2023 September contract, I believe. And yeah, I already have them for like the past 5 months or so. I basically got into them and I think that, yeah, this is a good company and I do like the company's model. All right. So basically, this is just an M&A going through the whole entire thing. Yeah, the spec and such. Okay. Now let's continue on. Volkswagen. In the advanced talk about a Porsche IPO, I think this is going to be very, very lovely for us to actually see Porsche. Porsche is actually one of my favorite car brands as well. And to see them going through an IPO is definitely music to my ears. Of course, for cars in general, I do think that these are more of a luxury-esque item. In terms of a business model, I do think that luxury will definitely have a marketplace in the long run, which is why I think it would always make sense for us to get into companies when they are going into the luxury, which is why I think that, like, for example, like your Lucid, when Lucid actually first came out, they wanted to be the luxury EV brand. Of course, Lucid is not doing very, very well because due to the deliveries of the company itself, there's not enough demand. And the supply is a little bit bottleneck to begin with as well. I think they actually had a picture of them delivering like about 50 cars or so. But of course, Lucid Air and Lucid Dream, basically all these models are really considered the higher end EV companies, and which is why I think that it'll be very hard for them to actually start off at a get-go. I do not think that there's going to be a big market for them to begin with. But for Porsche, on the other hand, I do think that there would be a higher possibility for them to actually garner some form of a market valuation at the start, because people already are very well versed with this company and people already know this brand. I think this is a very obvious brand. People just look at the logo and people know that's a Porsche. Okay, I think that there's a lot of luxury, a lot of prestige when you actually see this brand, and that's how you kind of put it into context a lot of time. But I'm not sure if Porsche actually, I'm not sure if they're actually moving into the EV side of things, which is my only concern for the company. As a car company, as a car manufacturer as a whole, I have no complaints. But if I am going to be an investor in the company, I do want to see about the future of the company, and I'm not very sure if they're going to be investing into the EV, the electrifying side of things. Because I think if you are going to be making Porsche into an EV side of things, I'm not sure if people are gonna like it, which is also one of the big reasons why I think that it's almost impossible for you to move like 100% of people into the EV sector in the next 10-20 years. It's very, very hard. I would easily say that it's near impossible, because the people of today are still going to be obsessed with your Ferrari, with your Porsche, with your Maserati, with your Bugatti, and whatever it is. It's very hard for you to make it into an EV side of things for those sports cars. Those people who are obsessed about it today, eventually, a small fraction of them are going to be rich enough for them to actually afford those cars, and those cars will still be on the road in that future. Which is why I think in the next 20 years, it's hard for you to get a grapple down on 100% of electrifying the entire world. But I do think that a good 50% or so would definitely be very, very possible. Anyway, I do think that that's my only qualm with Porsche doing an IPO. The announcement comes after more than a year of speculation and intense discussion among VW core shareholders that include Porsche Automobile Holding, the fund owned by Porsche and Piech family, the state of Lower Saxony, which controls around 20% of VW, and also has special rights under the Germany VW law, and the influential IG Metall Labor Union, which holds half the seats on a VW board of directors. So yeah, China Star, I do think that Porsche is going to get an IPO very, very soon. So we'll see how that goes. All right, this is what I have to be reading up later on anyway. All right, stocks ease a loss as Ukraine scenario digested this on Bloomberg. I did see that the market basically having some level of recovery for the market, which I think is all right. People are probably taking the same stance as I am, which is thinking that this entire thing is not going to be that dangerous. I think that people are starting to price in the possibility of Russia and Ukraine not being anything big in the future. Of course, right now, like I said before, I've been saying this for weeks now. Okay, although I do not see anything huge, I do not intend to buy more. I don't intend to sell more. However, on the other hand, I do intend to continue my whale strategy for me to continue earning money by the side. And if you haven't seen that video, it's going to be in my page of how I'm earning money in this sideway market, something along that line. I should explain how am I selling calls and also selling puts. That way I'm actually earning on the premium itself. Of course, none of these are all financial advice. This is just something that works for me. I'm not sure if it's going to work for you. Okay, so anyway, stocks, yeah, basically eased off the losses. Like I said, people are starting to price in the fact that this might be nothing, which is quite a good thing. I think that I'm probably on on the right side. Hopefully, okay, hopefully we're on the right side. Okay, EU proposes sanction as Putin's backs separatists. Okay, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that he would halt a certification of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. The question now is what the US and its ally would define as an invasion and what will trigger bigger sanctions, which is why I said before, because when US basically came out to talk about it, I think it was either on Sunday or yesterday when I read the news on Bloomberg, where they basically said, if the tanks roll out, and then we'll consider it as an invasion, but until then, it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But anyway, I think that's all we have for the news today. Thank you guys very much for watching till this far. But anyway, the market is going to be open in 1.5 hours according to the time of recording. I'm going to go and celebrate my sister's birthday for a bit. I'm going to get some cake. And afterwards, I'm going to go through the whole market open. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.